Well, listen, Patricia, it's good to have you this morning. She says this: I bought Uzyme in 2016, finally starting to take action on what I purchased, starting with Uzyme because I love the fact that we have a training every week. Thank you for that, Patricia. I appreciate that. And we do our best every Friday to try to give you quality information. I did say something about the replays a while ago. This is a live and interactive webinar. It's not really designed for replays, although we do record it and we do post the replays. And Rose and John have done a great job of putting that up in wherever it is that they put it. I create a YouTube video out of the training on Fridays, and we put it up there. So, and then they put it in whatever it is, the platform that they put it in. And it's available continuously. And I think Gene shared that a little bit ago. So pretty cool. And however, just some basic things that your questions have to apply to the training for the day because we want to be able to address those. All of that information got lost in that corrupted file. And so we'll rebuild that. It was time to redo that anyhow. So I was thinking earlier in the week, it was about time for me to redo this slide deck. And so it is now forced by necessity to do that. I just didn't plan to do that, on the morning I was getting ready to do that and locked out of Facebook and a bunch of other stuff that went on, personal issues that went on. So it makes for an interesting day. So yeah, I kind of like that too, Ray. I thought that was pretty new, pretty cool. Glad for that. Okay. All right, let's get started. Are you ready to get started? Let's get started this morning. I'm going to need a little feedback from you just to make sure that I didn't take off in my mouth saying one thing, my brain's thinking something else. You'll help me with that if you do that. Good morning, Tyree. Good to see you. For those of you who don't know Tyree, I'm just glad to see Tyree every time he comes in. So thank you so much for everything. Okay, all right, let's get started. I'm going to share some things with you from the group. I always share things with you from the group. This was a post that Ray made earlier in which he shared with us his skill of using the very thing that we talked about last week on the webinar, and that was just simply taking and grabbing something and making it stand out in the crowd. And so Ray gives us the details on how he did that. He layered that T-shirt design in the midst of the crowd there. Pretty cool. This is a great comment here. This is a great attention grabber. I really like this. Interesting thing that Ray chose to use, and I thought this was really cool, and it made for a very interesting effect. What grabbed me the most was that Ray decided to put a border around the letters in the image that was red, and it blended in. That's a great way to do that. I thought this was a really interesting way to make that stand out in kind of a special way. Great job, Ray. I'm always fascinated when Ray puts stuff up because he does a great job of doing that. And so I always look forward to that. And his ugly shirts, but those pretty awesome. We're actually going to talk about shirts today because I have some things I want to share with you about shirts that are pretty cool. So let me ask this question, and we'll do this as I move to the next slide. How many of you have done, are doing, or are interested in doing T-shirts and T-shirt designs? Because I have something I want to share with you about that today. So just put me, whatever, something, yes. Okay, it looks like most people are, so that's pretty cool. So I don't want to talk about things that nobody's interested in, but I think you'll find this one rather interesting. Some of you may already be doing it, but I thought it's pretty interesting. This was an interesting challenge by Derek, and if we have time today, I'm going to try to do this, show you something that I have a little trick that I do with this that may be helpful. Okay, and we'll take that and we'll play with that for just a little bit later on in the Canvas, because I think that using the replace tool will make this quick work. Okay, so I'll just give you the heads up that that's kind of what I plan to do with this, and we'll have a little bit of fun with it. Okay, the next thing, it may take me a little while to create this, but keep that in mind. And given my issues this morning, it may take me forever to create it. I don't know. But this is pretty cool. Elle did this little video promoting her book, and I thought it was great. I just thought it was great. We've talked about how do you get attention, and she created this little video on her book promotion, and I really, really like this. If you make sure that you go in the group and take a look at that and see what she's doing with her book and how she's using video to promote that, because I thought that was really good. So great job, Elle. Big kudos to you. I thought you did a great job with creating this little video promotion for your book. And I like the overlays here in this image. I just really liked that. I thought you did a good job with that. Okay. Very interesting post here. I thought this was really interesting. It's a great job. Melody did this. This is a great job of taking an image, removing the background from the image, and then putting it on a different image. However, once she did that, she realized that the perspective was a little bit different. And so I'm going to show you a little trick that I do that reminds, I'm 6'5", so I'm always taller than everything else in the room. And as a result, when you're holding your phone at 6'5", you're always looking down at the subjects. And that can become a really interesting challenge. And you can see that. It's hard to see it here. I had to blow it up pretty big in the canvas in order to see it, and it gets a little pixelated when you do that. But that's not my purpose is not to recreate the image. My purpose is to show something here that I think will help you. I actually use an arrow to determine the angle here. Where was the picture taken from? Was it taken horizontally so it sees the eyeball straight on, or was it taken elevated above that? And we talked about perspective a while back. Hello, Clee. We talked about perspective a while back about shadows, and how that the perspective on the shadows can make your image look really good, or it can make it look really dorky. And so I put the arrow on this image, and I'll show you what I'll do with that when we get to the canvas, because you need to match your background angle to the image angle that you're going to lay over the top of it. Does that make sense to everybody? That was the thing that was easily discovered when she put the images together. She talked about that, and everybody gave ideas, and it was really good. So I really appreciate everybody's comments on that. But I wanted to remind you, do some things to help plant that in your head. And doing this little arrow exercise will really help you to take advantage of something that we all used forever back in the 70s and 80s and 90s before we put cameras and phones. And it's this little thing called a tripod. And it's amazing what a tripod does to make your images better. It really is. If I have to set that tripod at the angle, at the right, so I have my perspective right, then I'm going to get it right. If I'm holding it in my hand, I have a different kind of challenge. Does that make sense to everybody? Well, that's really the reason why let's see, Geraldine is saying, I love the arrow suggestion. For whatever reason, my eyeballs don't see this stuff until you point it out. That's the reason why I do this. This is an over exaggeration. I do this on purpose because it's like muscle memory. Baseball players and football players will talk about muscle memory and how that they use a muscle over and over again, so that when they get in a game, when they get in a pressure situation, they have they have that already implanted in their system. It's something that then comes naturally to them, and that's the reason that I do this. It's the real reason why I do this, because it helps me to get that fixed in my head. Yes, to get a great picture of a toddler, Tom says you've got to get down to their level. Exactly. And that's the reason why I went back and I said, hey, there was an old tool that we used to use all the time. As a matter of fact, this is the one I own, by the way. Being 6'5", it's very difficult for me I used to have a shorter tripod, and I had bricks that I would set that tripod up on so that it could get up, so I could stand up and look into the tripod to do my Facebook live feeds. And then I got this taller tripod, which is taller than I am. But it helps me to get the perspective correct, because nobody wants to look up your nose. And the truth is that taking pictures of people, nobody wants to look down either. You know, that's kind of that's a rule that we don't really want to violate. Okay. Anything else? I just want to make sure that you get this. You get this muscle memory in your brain that, hey, pay attention to where they're looking when you've got you want everybody to look at you. Well, what happens is they're looking up. So make sure that you get your perspective correct. And again, one of those things where you have to begin with the end in mind. And this, I have to remind myself of this all the time, because it's really, really easy for me to just take out my phone and take a picture, but I'm already taller than everybody else that I'm taking the picture of. So I have to remember that. And the tripod is a help for that. The arrow helps me to remember what that's going to look like. And by simply making that a big bold red arrow like that, you can see, and it's slightly tipped down, but you see the difference that it makes. Okay. All right. Another big thing this morning, one of the things I was working on early to make sure that I could give you the proper information about this. And I have a link for this. If any of you are using Sozine, we have a new integration. We talked about integrations last week and the week before. And it's like when I got the announcement that we have a new integration for Sozine, I went, oh, but this one's really cool. Okay, this one's really cool. And it opened up a conversation about having integrations and how to make them so that they're fast and they work in a timely fashion. Because typically the integrations have been really, really slow. But this one's really cool. And I will show you that in just a little bit. How many of you are using Sozine? And Rose just posted the link. I was going to show that to you in just a minute, but that's okay. Rose has posted the link there. If you're using Sozine, that's a really, really good way to do that. Okay, Elle, here's the thing to remember. We integrate with almost everything. You know, we really do. And Rose is going to get you a list of that. But as we said last week, integrations aren't always the fastest way to get something done, because typically you have to scroll through everything that you have in Uzine to do that. And it's not always real speedy. This one's amazing. And so that's the reason why I'm kind of excited to show this to you. Make sure you start thinking about holiday ideas and things that you can do, and just put in the word holiday in your templates and scroll through that once in a while and take a look, because you'll discover some things that might work really, really well for the holiday season for the people that you do business with. Loyalty cards, one of those things that are really kind of cool, and you can do that. So loyalty cards are something that is a possibility. Tickets is another thing. We've talked about these in the past. I just wanted to remind you again. I would like to play with this template just a little bit, because it's got some cool features in that template that I'd want to share with you. But I really want to talk about t-shirts today, because I found a solution that y'all may absolutely love. Okay, so I'm probably going to spend more time talking about the t-shirt solution that I discovered for y'all that might actually be beneficial to you. Okay, so we'll do that, but I am briefly going to share the integration, because I'm excited about where that's going. More so than about Sozine. I'm more excited about where that's going from an integration standpoint. So I'll show you in just a minute. And then we'll do whatever tips and tricks. And this is an old slide, and so I'm gonna have to replace that in the future. And then we'll do our best to try to answer questions like the one that Ron asked earlier. Okay, so let me change my slide here, or let me change my screen share. And I don't have the best connection in the world, So this is going to be a slow process, and I'm not sure what's happening. When I tested this morning before we went live, the tests were amazing. I had an amazingly good connection, and then it's gone from amazingly good to, I don't want to say it out loud. It's not yet. So let me get the next slide up here, and we'll do that. It really is going slow, and I'm sorry for that, but it will work. Okay, let me know when you can see my screen. Tom, I don't know what that mediocre comment was, but that's a word I don't use. Okay, let me share with you this integration here, okay? Actually, it's not the service in my area because I have Google Fiber, which could deliver 1,000, but it's not. And so let's talk about this integration here. All right, this is the cool thing about this integration. It's this little file manager right here. I love this, and kind of looking forward to maybe this becoming a reality in other places. So this is how you do this integration. First of all, you've got to go over to your profile, and from your profile, do your typical your public API key and your API token, your Usign API token, and then you go to the file manager, and inside the file manager, you have a Dropbox logo right here, and then you have the Usign logo. When you pop open the Usign logo, well, it was working naturally. All right. Well, so much for that. But we were when I got kicked out of Facebook a while ago, that may have had a lot to do with. Let me update my token here. Yeah. Okay. Bertrand's saying to try it with his account. Let's see if that's a possibility here. Not my day to do that, but give me just a second. Okay, we're going to move on and do something else for right now. If we get a chance before the time's over, because given my start to the morning and my blood sugar issues, yeah, I don't think I'll be around till 2100 either. But given my other issues this morning, this is not the day for me to have to fight with this. So let's talk about t-shirt designs for a minute, okay? Found this amazing company called Printify. Printify. Have any of you ever heard of Printify? Printify is a pretty interesting tool. Pretty interesting. Susie says she uses them. Anybody else heard of Printify? Because this is, if you do t-shirts, and you know, holidays are t-shirt time. This is a time when you can make a t-shirt for all the family or however you want to do it. And so Printify is a pretty amazing platform. I'll take you back to the very beginning. I'm going to save this one, and I'll show you something. I want to come back and show you this in just a minute, but let's quickly save this, and then I'll take you back over here and show you the reason why I like this. Okay. When you go up here to the product catalog, and in this case, I don't know if you've ever had a Bella Canvas shirt, but these are amazing shirts. They have an amazing feel, and they're very, very comfortable shirts. So I'm gonna pick this shirt right here, and I want you to see this. What they do is they go to every print provider. They have a agreement with a bunch of print providers. I shouldn't say every print provider. And they pull the pricing from that provider for that particular shirt. They also give you the average production time. They tell you whether it'll print front or back. And so this is a really, really cool tool to use. It's Printify. If you're interested in t-shirts, this is a great. This is not about designing the shirt, Al. This is just about how this platform works and why we should do this. And yes, they do have V-necks, by the way. But this is really cool. So I'm just going to take one of these, and we're going to pick this one, and we're going to start the design. This is on a white shirt. This particular mock-up allows you to layer your designs. So the reason why that becomes cool is because when I look over here at my canvas, I can now make my canvas 3000 by 1200 and put it at 300 DPI, and I get a really, really good rendition of this particular stuff. Okay. Does that make sense? Because being able to layer this then allows me to build this rather quickly. And so I can take the layers and see I have a really good DPI for this one. I add the next layer. And in this case, I want to make this one slightly smaller. When you can. There we go. I'm going to make that slightly smaller. Move that up just a little bit. And by doing that, I'm getting a high resolution image by adding the layers. And so I can build those. I can build those one layer at a time. All right. Does that make sense? Y'all understand what I'm doing? That gives me a better quality result. And this design allows me, this particular platform allows me to be able to add multiple layers to my shirt. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make all of my images incredibly large. These are vector images, so I don't have any issue with that. I took my heart a while ago and put it on there. But then being able to add those as layers made this work amazingly well. Does that make sense to everybody? Layering that shirt is the quickest and easiest way. They're already a vector in Usesign. That's what this is right here. Okay. And I took a vector image. My heart was actually this one right here. But rather than trying to build all of the pieces in one piece in a t-shirt design, what I did instead was I created this really large format right here and filled that up. For the very reason I just said, Ray, because when I create the t-shirt design, you go up here and pick prints, pick the t-shirt design. Okay, look at my image right here at 3000 by 1200. Okay. And that's just this word right here. I can't make it fit on the screen. So what's going to happen, I have to make it smaller. And then I go back over here and I take a look at what this is asking. This is the preferred size. Well, the easiest way to get that's one piece at a time. And that's the reason why I didn't combine them. In the past, I've always combined them in one graphic. So if we make this a single graphic, okay, that's the whole reason for the conversation this morning, Rose, is because this is a great holiday thing to do. If I make this also, it fits, okay? we'll make this so it fits. You'll see the difference. Okay, I'm gonna put this down here at the bottom like this. I'll make this heart bigger so it makes sense. I'm not going to add color to this, but I am going to center it. And then I'm going to throw my text on top of this. Where is it? Right there. Do that. Now, if I save that whole thing, and then I come back over here and I add the design, and I pick that, look what happens. The resolution is not good enough in order to make it work. All right. So what happens is I have to scale it down now. And when you scale it down, you understand? Does that make sense to everybody? So what I did instead was I made 4 pieces, put the 4 pieces together one at a time here. Takes just a little bit longer to do that, but the end result's amazing. See, I'm at 70% resolution. I'm at 70% scale on this now. I'm still getting a resolution issue. I didn't have a resolution issue a while ago. And see, I'm below 200 DPI. Exactly. It makes it much more flexible without having to go back and change my design all the time. And now I have the pieces. As I was doing this for this webinar, I started thinking about, I can add these layers. I've got all these pieces over here. If I change the color of the shirt, and I go with a shirt that's a darker color, I'm going to lose this. But if I had this in both black and white, I can make the pieces interchangeable. Understand? Yes, I'll be glad to do that. This is actually, when I found this site, and for those of you who already knew about it, cool. But when I found this site, I thought, man, this is just an amazing site. Let me grab the link for this and give it to you, because I think this is pretty cool. This is something that if you've not done this, you might actually have some fun with it now rather than some frustration with it. So that's the link to the site itself. Yeah, I agree, Geraldine. It is easier in this case to be able to combine those, and then I can make the parts interchangeable. If I want to use this hashtag every time, then I have that hashtag in my library, and I can pull that hashtag in every time to every shirt, regardless of what the design is on the outside of it. So I really liked the ability to be able to layer the images here on top of this design, and it gives me much better resolution. So kill 2 birds with 1 stone with that. It's just amazing that you could do that, and then be able to find the company that can deliver more quickly or at a lower price or whatever. And these are really nice quality shirts. I have a bunch of them, and I really, really like them. If you've not ever had one, you don't know what you're missing. And as Elle pointed out to us earlier, there's a ton of stuff in here. If you went over here to women's clothing and took a t-shirt, you'll find the V-neck design right there. But yeah, this opens up a world of opportunity for us in Uzine. Can you see that? That's a great question, Robbie. And I'm wearing the first shirt, the test shirt, which I only bought one. The first test shirt that I did, I'm wearing the first one. So yes, you can buy them one at a time. You can actually connect them to your store, and they will drop ship. Actually, Pete, I can't answer that question. I do know this, that when I opened up the site this morning, there was an announcement being made that there was a strike in Canada and they couldn't ship to Canada. So I'm assuming that you can do more than that. Okay. I really like this. Now they do have an app, but I wanted you to see this because I thought it would be beneficial to you, particularly going into the holiday seasons and stuff. Thank you, Patricia. I didn't know that, but that was the announcement this morning when I opened the site up. Said something about rolling strike. Anyhow, that was not my point. Was not this morning to talk just about t-shirts, but I wanted you to see that again. This you know how I feel about these things. Instead of saying, wow, we can only make this shirt design right here. And when that happens, what happens is that it needs to be 4,000 pixels high or 4,500 pixels high and 4,000 pixels wide. And that's not the canvas size. Well, let's find another way to do that. Well, I found another way to do it. And that's my point, is that by being able to create these in separate layers and then put the layers together, because you're not going to have more than 4 or 5 components on a t-shirt cover, right? You're not going to have more than 4 or 5 components on a t-shirt cover. Then you're not writing a book. Okay. This is a t-shirt. So I thought, hey, if I can do that, then I can make my images much bigger, and then I get rid of the issue that I would have with actually, I was thinking about you when I was looking for print designs, and I had stumbled on this Printify because I was thinking about, you had done the picture of the shirt in your promotion for your book with a logo on it. Now, if you took that logo that was there and you broke it down into its basic components, how many is it going to be? Probably 3, maybe 4. Yeah, 4. And so you make 4 simple images, and then you bring them into your platform and you drop them. The resolution, what we can do here, Shay, that's a good question. What we can do here, and I'm going to go up to the custom size because that's what I did to do this to begin with. I actually made that 3,000 pixels wide, and I made it 1,200 pixels tall. I did it just for this. Okay. So now I have a large high resolution image at 300 DPI that's 3,000 pixels wide. When you go back over here and you take a look at what's required for this, I'll do the V next so it'll feel better. And you drop that 3,000 pixel wide in there. Now I don't have now see, this fills up my design. Over here, when I had it in t-shirt design, it was 1,900 pixels wide. Wasn't it? Or was it less than that? It was even less than that. I think it was less than that. Yeah, it's 1941 is what that is. So that allows you to create a much bigger design. Yeah, that's great. I'll do that and show it in the group because that would be great. But again, you're just making, now I'm only making 4 components. And if you had, and for me, one of my components is always a hashtag. And so that hashtag, I can just create the hashtag and save it, and I'll have it every single time in my library. But when you do the custom design, when you do the custom up here, that's a good thing to remind you of, Shade. Make sure you got this little drop down menu here. Make sure that you use 300 DPI for your output. Okay. See, what I'm going to do now, I had that at 1900, and this was what I would have been if I was trying to make a single design work. I'm going to change this to, I'll have to move this up so it doesn't get lost in the middle of this. I'll change this to, now do you see how much bigger I can make my image than it was in the design before? That gives me better resolution in my output over here. Any other questions? Start running into issues with our canvas, our custom canvas. You start running into issues with that when you get past that 3,500 point. But these are all high quality images unless I save them. Once I save them as a PNG file, then I now have a picture rather than a vector. And so, but that's what I want to upload over here. But this is where your layering's at. Let me show you how you add the layers to this, just so you'll know. And again, you can see over here, this is looking for 36 by 48, but I can take that image right there. That's not the one I wanted. Get rid of that. And I can work with the layers individually. See? And now I can go to this layer or that layer and remove them, add them, whatever I want to do. Okay? All right. Anything else? Any other questions about that? I just thought that would be kind of fun for you to be able to see that today, because I know that there's many of you have talked about shirts, and then when I found this Printify site, I thought, man, this is the ticket. So. Thank you, Rose. Yes, Rose has got some things there with the some t-shirt designs, and there's some pretty cool t-shirt designs there too. That's a good question. This is, again, remember, these are all totally personal opinions, but I absolutely love this Bella Canva shirt 3100, or I'm sorry, 3001. I have a bunch of those, not made here, obviously, but I have a bunch of these. I'm a t-shirt guy. I spent 25 years as a corporate trainer in a suit, and so I've done nothing but wore t-shirts ever since my anti-suit days. So, but this is my favorite. All right, any other questions? But this being able to layer that was amazing. The turnaround time, Ray, is really cool because what they do, what Printify does is this. I'll just pick this one here. What Printify does is it gives you down here, it tells you the average production time. And there's a big difference here, okay? This shirt comes out of the UK, so it's a little bit longer. Maybe that answers your question earlier, Pete. But this particular shirt right here, with the provider that I picked, which was MyLocker. I picked MyLocker. I got it in 5 days. Yeah, and Susie's been using them for a while, so obviously. but you can pick your turnaround times here as well as the price. Okay, obviously a little longer turnaround time, much lower price. Product catalog has all kinds of stuff in it. And it seems to me like I saw right there. And those are done embroidered, so it's pretty cool. No minimum order at all. I think the shirt I'm wearing right now, which says "Find Your Tribe" on it, I think that shirt I paid $12. That included the shipping. Yep, perfect time for knit caps. So, all right, very good. Just I wanted to share that with you because I thought that would be very timely. It's a great opportunity. One of the beautiful things about Uzine is that it opens up a world of opportunity for you to take the next step. And it's more than just the design; it's the next step. People don't buy design; they buy T-shirts. So to take the next step. And so I wanted to share with you what I thought was a really cool way to be able to take that next step. Okay. So I thought it would be kind of fun, and being able to do this as separate components and layer them onto your design is really kind of a cool thing. Okay. All right. With that, I'm going to end that section, and yeah, Bertrand's saying that for some reason the API got interrupted on Sozine, so we'll bring you up to speed on that later. Okay, but I thought that would help you. I really want to see people be able to do something cool and creative with Uzine. And T-shirts are one of those cool and creative things that we can do. And by being able to layer onto your design, that was going to be, for me, it was going to be key because, again, I'm 6'5" and weigh 275 pounds. I don't wear a small shirt. So I have to have a big design on it. And I'm one size smaller than a billboard. And so I have to have a big area, and being able to layer just opened up a world of possibilities for me. Okay. And yes, they also have mugs, and the mugs were amazing too. Y'all are going to get me stuck here on doing a promotion for, but check this out. I have never found prices on mugs in this price range before in my life, ever. Highly recommend that you go to the site, check it out, use it. I have no interest in it whatsoever. Just thought it would be kind of fun for you, because it opens up a world of possibility that we didn't have before. And by being able to put the layers on top of your design, that's so important. Because when you have to get your shirts from the Acme Tent and Awning Company, there's a big joke inside of that right there. So y'all give me a fit all the time about my useless trivia, but that's actually the Acme Tent and Awning Company was the company that made Harry Houdini's straitjackets, in case you wanted to know. Now, the next thing is I want to play with the real quickly. I had a question about fonts a while ago, so let me do the font thing here for just a second. All right, let me get this up here so you can all can see it. Make this big enough to do this. And Ron was asking the question about fonts a while ago. If you will load that font to your system, however your computer does the font loading to your system, if you'll load it there, you will find that font down here where it says system fonts. And I've added some system fonts for particular customers. Like one of my customers had asked for this font. So I had to add that font. Now, there's some limitations to that. All right. The limitations are that if I drag this to a different size and save it, it's probably going to go back to its original size. Just be aware of that fact. There's some limitations to system fonts that are controlled by your computer, have nothing to do with Uzine. Has to do with how those are handled inside of your system. Okay. Yes, that's true. It's Wile E. Coyote. But be aware of that. I also cannot rotate this font in any way. What I can do is I can save that font, I can download it, and then I can do other things with it. And I'll show you an example of that. I've got this on a transparent background. So I'm going to save this. Stuff I do not plan to keep, I always save under Uzine, just so you all will know that. Now I'm going to upload it. That's my image right there. So I'm going to get rid of this original font. Now, because it's an image, I won't have any problem resizing it. It will stay the same. A little awkward, not the best way to do it, but it does work. Okay. Now, if I put this on a background, we'll throw a textured background on this. Because I saved it as a transparency, I now have that here. Okay. Does that help answer your question, Ron? Earth calling Ron. Okay. All right. The other thing I wanted to do is I wanted to talk about templates this morning. And so we're going to go over here and take a look at these print templates. And I'm going to always make sure you do this first. Go to your layout. If I'm going to create let's do a ticket. I'm going to create a ticket here. Then what I want to do is I want to make sure that I've got my canvas, my work area laid out as in the ticket design. Okay. Then I can come over here and grab a ticket, and it will pull in all of my ticket templates. All right. Now, this is the one I had earlier. I told you I wanted to play with a little bit. This doesn't look like this at all. The reason is because this layout is transparent. Okay. It's transparent. If I had this background turned to a transparency, if I had that turned to a transparency, look what happens. All goes away. So what I want to do, now is I don't want that red background here. I want something drastically different than that. So I'm going to turn that off transparent. So always look at your templates and see what's there, because you might be able to do some really, really fun stuff with that. Does that make sense? I thought this was cool because it was transparent, and that transparency caught my attention. So I didn't need to have that with red. I thought there was just too much red. So this is a hole. So I'm going to move it just a little bit so that I can delete the background. Now I'm going to grab this and pull it back up. You might know why I can do that. It's a group up here, right? So I'm going to save it. I'm going to keep it as a group. But it's got some really cool, very, very transparent stuff in the background of this that makes it look like a birthday party. But I can't see it because the opacity is turned way down. So the way it had originally been designed was like this. The red didn't do it for me. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to change that red to something else. I just simply grabbed it, pulled this back over here. Now let's change this a little bit. Let's make it like this. Now I've got a totally different look than I had before, correct? Now, this is the process that you want to go through if you're going to take your, if you're going to play with the templates. This is the process that you want to go through. I'm going to go up here, find my template integrations. Okay, I'm going to go back. And what I want to do now is I want to take, trying to figure out if I'm going to have time to do this or not. I want to make sure that I have my layout like it's supposed to be, correct? Now, I'm going to pick my templates. I don't have any templates for a Twitter post image. I only have them for a cover image. See there? So, for illustrative purposes here, make sure that you put you have your presets in the layout that they're going to be when you bring your template in. Otherwise, it's not going to look right. Here's the thing to remember. If you use a picture on Printify, you're going to want to have a really, really high quality image to use on Printify. Now, I can show you some shortcuts here. Okay. Let me do this. Let's take an image. That's a hole. I can get rid of this because that's a good question. This is that transparency. And a lot of these templates are designed that way. Okay. Just keep that in mind as you do this. But I want to eliminate that whole template. So Geraldine, that would be a full-time job for more than one person. It just would, trying to keep up with all of the different sizes. But for this particular illustration, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to create this image. So I'm going to put this. I'm going to custom design this image. I'm going to run out of time, so I'm going to try to get through this real quickly here. Make that 3,000 by 3,500. All right. And I want to take this image right here and do that in high density. All right. Now the question then becomes, because this is a high density image, how's it going to appear and I'm at 300 DPI. How's that going to appear? Now, y'all know what I'm doing here, don't you? I'm answering this question on the fly because I have no idea what the answer is. So what are we doing? We're just clicking until we find out, right? So can I put that image on this big mug? It's a good question. These, by the way, are made in Georgia. So add my design here. And for a mug, this is going to be fine. And see, the resolution is now 300 dpi. All right, with that, we're going to wrap up, folks. Okay, so thank you so much. I hope this has been helpful to you. I thought that the t-shirt design thing would be a good way for you to be able to cash in on your investment in Uzine over the next several weeks. And so I highly encourage you to check that out, find a way to make that work and work to your advantage. So thank you for joining me today. I will be back here next Friday, same time, same place, doing the same thing, only slightly different. Okay? Thank you for joining me this morning.